Hello friends. Let's be real for a second. When it comes to sexual chemistry, not all zodiac signs are created equal. Some ignite instant passion, some build slow-burning heat, and others, well, let's just say, sparks don't always fly. But what happens when you throw an Aries into the mix? Fiery, impulsive, confident, Aries is ruled by Mars, the planet of war, passion, and let's face it, primal desire. So, how does this sign, bold and brash in the bedroom, mesh with the other 12? You're about to find out. We're about to walk through the entire zodiac and explore Aries' sexual compatibility with every sign. And fair warning, this isn't your fluffy horoscopes column. We're diving deep into desires, power dynamics, turn-ons, and why some signs leave Aries breathless, while others just leave them bored. Aries plus Aries. Two Aries lovers in bed. That's not just chemistry, it's combustion. Imagine two wildfires colliding, fueled by sheer adrenaline, insatiable lust, and a burning need to dominate. This isn't a slow seduction under candlelight, this is sex with the volume cranked to 11. When two rams collide, the room heats up fast. Clothes are optional, foreplay is spontaneous, and the furniture might not survive the night. From the very first touch, the physical connection is undeniable. Both are ruled by Mars, the planet of war and raw desire, which means their bodies speak the same primal language. They don't just want sex, they want action. Biting, spanking, hair pulling, sweat, bruises worn like trophies. Athleticism becomes foreplay. A session between two Aries might involve 3 positions before you even make it to the bed. The chase is the aphrodisiac. They're not just making love, they're conquering each other. But the heat comes with complications. Aries is a leader. Always. So what happens when both people want to lead? No one's submitting, no one's yielding, and suddenly the bedroom turns into a power struggle disguised as passion. One minute they're passionately tearing into each other, the next, they're arguing over who's taking the lead, who made the first move, or whose idea that third round was. The sex doesn't stop, but the ego bruises might linger. Still, in the heat of it all, there's magic, if they can harness it. The best case scenario? A feedback loop of desire, energy, and mutual admiration. They become addicted to each other's fire. Quickies before work. Round 2 in the car. Late night texts that escalate quickly. It's spontaneous, wild, and incredibly alive. These two can go days without speaking and still find themselves tangled in the sheets just from a single glance. That kind of chemistry is rare and addictive. But let's not sugarcoat it, emotional depth is not a given here. Two Aries in bed might forget to connect beyond the skin. It's so easy to get lost in the rush, the heat, the performance, that they bypass the vulnerability that makes sex truly intimate. If neither partner is willing to slow down and say, hey, what do you actually feel, the relationship might burn out just as fast as it ignited. For lasting passion, these two need to master the art of rhythm. Not every moment has to be a conquest. Sometimes, soft touches speak louder than wild thrusts. Sometimes, letting the other person lead is the real power move. When Aries learns to give as much as they take, to find fire in both dominance and surrender, they unlock the next level of sexual chemistry. So is Aries plus Aries the ultimate match? Not always. But when it works, it's unforgettable. Think backseat of a car, hotel rooms you'll never forget, that one lover you never quite got over. It's intense, imperfect, and impossible to ignore. If they're willing to share the spotlight, trust each other's fire, and fight for the connection instead of just in it, this match could burn forever. Or at least, long enough to set the bed on fire. Aries plus Taurus. When Aries collides with Taurus in the bedroom, it's a classic case of speed versus sensuality. One wants instant gratification, the other wants to feel every second unfold. It's not a race, it's a dance. But Aries doesn't like to dance, and Taurus isn't one to be rushed. This pairing is either a frustrating mismatch of tempos or a tantalizing lesson in patience and payoff. And when they do get it right, the result is intoxicating, like a shot of adrenaline taken while lying on silk sheets. Let's start with the basics. Aries is fire. Fast, bold, impatient. Ruled by Mars, Aries charges into intimacy with wild abandon, craving the high of passion, the thrill of the chase, and the immediate reward of conquest. Taurus, by contrast, is earth. Solid, sensual, and deeply connected to the physical experience. They don't rush. They savor. Governed by Venus, the planet of beauty, pleasure, and indulgence, Taurus approaches sex like fine dining, slow, luxurious, and deeply satisfying. So when these two get into bed, the energy is instantly electric, but mismatched. Aries wants to tear the clothes off in the hallway. Taurus wants to pour the wine, light the candles, and make sure the sheets are Egyptian cotton. Aries is all about spontaneity and fiery lust, Taurus is about build-up, touch, scent, sound. One is primal. The other is poetic. That contrast? It's either deeply frustrating, or insanely erotic. Here's the secret: once Aries realizes Taurus isn't stalling, they're building something, things start to shift. Taurus teaches Aries the value of anticipation. That teasing isn't a delay, it's foreplay. That slowness isn't boring, it's deeply erotic. And when Aries surrenders just a little to Taurus's rhythm, they discover a new kind of pleasure, one that doesn't end in 5 minutes, but lingers all night and into the next morning. On the flip side, Taurus finds themselves drawn to Aries' raw, aggressive energy. At first, it might feel overwhelming. Aries can be loud, fast, and a little selfish in bed, but there's something undeniably sexy about that fearless confidence. Aries brings the heat Taurus didn't know they craved. They awaken something primal in the bull, something that says, just this once, let go of control. And when Taurus does let go, they become unstoppable. But the balance is delicate. Aries might grow restless with Taurus's insistence on atmosphere. Taurus might shut down if Aries pushes too hard or forgets to check in emotionally. The sexual tension is real, but so is the risk of emotional disconnection. Aries wants raw action. Taurus needs to feel secure. And if either partner feels unappreciated or unseen, the bedroom becomes a battleground of unmet needs rather than pleasure. Communication is key. Aries has to understand that for Taurus, sex isn't just physical, it's deeply emotional and sensory. They need time, trust, and tenderness to fully open up. Taurus, in turn, needs to realize that Aries isn't trying to bulldoze their boundaries, they're just wired for instant intensity. By creating space for both energies, Aries' speed and Taurus's depth, they can find a rhythm that feels like heaven. Think of it like fire wrapped in velvet. Aries brings the flames, the danger, the pulse-racing edge. Taurus brings the soft, grounding texture that keeps it from burning out too quickly. When the two align, it's passion with staying power. A mix of raw lust and slow seduction that feels both wild and deeply satisfying. It's not always easy. But if they can sync up, if Aries can learn to slow down, and Taurus can embrace the heat, this pairing delivers a sexual experience that's not only intense, but unforgettable. One that feels like your favorite song on repeat, thrilling, familiar, and somehow better every time. Aries plus Gemini. Welcome to the bedroom where chaos meets charisma. Aries and Gemini don't just connect, they collide, in the best way possible. This isn't slow, sultry lovemaking under moonlight. This is sex with a soundtrack, jokes mid-thrust, and a safe word that probably changes every time. Aries brings the primal, let's do it now energy. Gemini shows up with a suitcase full of curiosity, clever banter, and maybe a new trick they read about an hour ago. Together, they create a whirlwind of passion, mischief, and endless experimentation. From the jump, the chemistry here isn't just physical, it's mental. Aries is all action, and Gemini is all ideas. That sounds like a mismatch until you realize, Aries is turned on by novelty. Gemini is novelty. Every encounter feels fresh because Gemini never repeats themselves. Today it's silk scarves and teasing texts. Tomorrow, a new position and a debate about which body part is most underrated. Aries is living for it. Gemini's mental foreplay feeds the ram's desire, while Aries' raw hunger keeps Gemini interested long enough to stop talking and do something. But make no mistake, this duo doesn't take sex too seriously. And that's exactly why it works. Gemini doesn't do emotional depth unless it sneaks up on them. Aries doesn't wait around for cosmic intimacy. So what do you get? Pure, unfiltered fun. The kind of fun where laughter is foreplay, dirty talk is practically a second language, and there's an ongoing challenge to outdo the last time. They might not remember every detail of what they did, but they'll definitely remember how hard they laughed and how fast their hearts were racing. Now, that doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing. Gemini's flirty, flaky energy can sometimes frustrate Aries, who prefers a direct route from, I want you, to, we're naked. And Aries' intensity might come on a little too strong for the air sign who thrives on mental space. But when they embrace those differences, the bedroom becomes a playground. Aries gets a crash course in seduction as a game, not a goal. Gemini discovers that being in the moment can feel even better than talking about it. And the variety? Off the charts. These two are down for anything. Toys? Yes. Roleplay? Absolutely. Random new idea in the middle of the night? Already Googled it. They're both restless, and that restlessness fuels their creativity. There's always a next time, and it's always different. Routine is the only thing they both avoid like the plague, which means the spark never really fades, because there's no time for it to. Of course, the danger with this pairing is staying stuck in surface-level satisfaction. If neither partner ever slows down enough to build emotional intimacy, the connection can stay light, playful, and ultimately, a little forgettable. It's thrilling, but does it last? That depends on whether Aries can learn to be patient with Gemini's mental backflips, and whether Gemini can occasionally stop talking long enough to listen to what Aries feels beneath all that fire. But if they make that leap, something powerful happens. Gemini teaches Aries the art of anticipation, the beauty of curiosity, and how words can be just as sexy as touch. Aries teaches Gemini the pleasure of presence, the thrill of instinct, and the joy of living fully in their own skin. And when those lessons are learned, the sex. It evolves. It becomes more than just fun. It becomes electric, dynamic, and deeply satisfying on multiple levels. Aries and Gemini together create a connection where nothing is off limits, and everything is an invitation. It's spontaneous, wild, and delightfully unpredictable. And if they choose to deepen that bond, they'll discover that what started as a game can become something rare, a love affair that keeps reinventing itself, one seductive moment at a time. Aries plus Cancer. This is where fire meets water, and it's either a sensual steam bath or a confusing emotional thunderstorm. Aries is impulsive, hot-blooded, and ready to leap into passion without a second thought. Cancer is soft, intuitive, and needs emotional depth before they even think about undressing. Aries views sex as a physical expression of attraction and desire. Cancer sees it as sacred, an extension of trust, security, and emotional bonding. So how do these two even get to the same bedroom, let alone enjoy what happens there? It all comes down to timing and emotional intelligence. If Aries charges in with their typical, let's skip to the good part energy, Cancer is likely to flinch. That bold, aggressive heat can feel invasive to someone who protects their heart like a vault. Cancer needs to feel emotionally safe and deeply seen to open up sexually. But here's the twist, once they do feel safe, Cancer reveals an incredibly sensual, almost magnetic erotic energy. They're slow to start, but once they trust, they transform. The shy lover becomes the seducer, intuitive and endlessly giving. And that's where Aries gets hooked. Because beneath all that emotional armor, Cancer is incredibly in tune with their partner's needs, often anticipating what feels good before it's even spoken. They're gentle but deeply sexual, with a natural rhythm that can balance Aries' impulsive nature beautifully. If Aries can slow down and actually listen, with more than just their hands, they'll uncover a kind of intimacy that's way more satisfying than a quick release. But let's not pretend it's easy. This dynamic takes serious effort. Aries isn't naturally patient. They don't love waiting, explaining, or tiptoeing around feelings. And Cancer is ultra-sensitive. Every careless word or rushed move can shut them down for days. This can lead to a frustrating dance. Aries pushes forward, Cancer retreats. Aries interprets that as rejection, gets angry, and pushes harder. Cancer feels attacked and shuts down completely. No one wins. To make it work, Aries has to develop a new kind of strength, emotional awareness. They need to learn that slowing down isn't weak. That building trust doesn't kill the passion, it fuels it. And Cancer? They need to realize that Aries' boldness isn't a threat, it's a form of honesty. Aries wears their heart and their lust on their sleeve. They're not hiding anything. And that kind of transparency, once Cancer learns to read it, can feel deeply comforting. When the connection finally clicks, the sex becomes something magical. Aries brings intensity, confidence, and a sense of adventure. Cancer brings tenderness, depth, and an almost psychic awareness of their partner's emotional and physical needs. Together, they create a sexual space that's both raw and deeply nurturing. It's the kind of lovemaking that feels like being seen and devoured. Sweet one moment, savage the next. This isn't a just for fun hookup. It's not the easy, frictionless chemistry Aries might find with other fire signs. This is more like a slow-building novel, full of complex emotion, subtle power shifts, and moments that linger long after the lights go out. If Aries is willing to step into the emotional undercurrent, and Cancer can embrace Aries' wild heart without fear, the result is a relationship, and a sex life, that defies expectations. It's passion with purpose. Heat with heart. And while it might not start off easy, it has the potential to become something rare, a fusion of lust and love, instinct and intuition. Aries teaches Cancer how to burn brighter. Cancer teaches Aries how to love deeper. Together, they find that the most explosive chemistry doesn't always start with sparks, it starts with trust. Aries plus Leo. When Aries and Leo come together, sex isn't just an experience, it's a full-on, lights-camera-action event. This isn't the kind of match that tiptoes into passion. No, this is champagne and fireworks, silk sheets and roaring applause. It's two stars on the same stage, both used to leading, both addicted to attention, and both fully committed to blowing the roof off the bedroom. Aries wants action. Leo wants adoration. And when those desires align, you get sex that's not just hot, it's unforgettable. From the very first glance, there's an unmistakable charge in the air. Aries sees Leo's confidence and instantly wants to claim it. Leo sees Aries' raw hunger and feels irresistibly drawn in. Their attraction is electric, immediate, and borderline cinematic. Think eye contact that dares, touches that demand, and tension so thick it practically sweats luxury. Neither one is shy, and neither holds back. This is a match made for drama, in the most delicious, bedroom-breaking way. But here's the twist, both signs are dominant. Aries is the warrior, direct, aggressive, always first to make a move. Leo is the royalty, magnetic, sensual, and demanding of total devotion. In bed, Aries wants to take control and win the moment. Leo wants to be worshipped, adored, admired for every moan and movement. These roles don't clash, they collide. If they're not careful, the bedroom becomes a competition, who's sexier, who's louder, who finish harder. It's fun, until it isn't. That said, when they find harmony, it's magic. Aries brings that raw, explosive energy, that can't wait another second, kind of lust. Leo adds elegance, style, and a flair for the dramatic. This duo doesn't just have sex, they perform it. Costumes? Yes. Lighting? Perfect. Playlist? Curated. They know how to turn a basic hookup into an all-night experience filled with roleplay, dirty talk, playful teasing, and an Olympic-level number of positions. They're also relentless. Leo loves to be desired, and Aries never runs out of desire. This means their physical chemistry rarely cools. They're both adventurous and up for pushing the limits, whether that's experimenting with toys, filming themselves for educational purposes, or turning every hotel room into a stage for their next escapade. They match each other beat for beat, fast, intense, and passionate as hell. But ego is the biggest threat here. Aries wants to be the one calling the shots. Leo needs to be praised and center stage. If either partner feels ignored, minimized, or, God forbid, bored, the spark can turn into smoke real quick. They both need to feel seen, sexy, and in control. That's not easy when both are used to taking the lead. The fix? Hype each other up. Leo thrives on compliments. Aries thrives on enthusiasm. When Aries says, "You're the sexiest person I've ever touched," Leo will melt, and then demand to prove why. When Leo praises Aries' stamina or boldness, Aries will double down and go even harder. Their shared fire isn't something to control, it's something to feed. And once they get that dynamic right, there's no stopping them. This becomes a couple that's not just having sex, they're creating unforgettable moments, night after night. They might butt heads outside the bedroom, but once inside, their fire meeting more fire. Flashy, wild, indulgent, and completely addictive. Aries and Leo together is the ultimate power-fueled sexual fantasy. It's confidence meeting charisma, dominance meeting desire, and the kind of chemistry that doesn't just spark, it roars. If they learn to share the spotlight, support each other's shine, and turn competition into collaboration, this isn't just hot sex, it's iconic. Aries plus Virgo. This pairing is the definition of, don't judge a book by its cover. On the surface, Aries and Virgo seem like total opposites. Aries is fire, bold, impulsive, and fueled by raw desire. Virgo is earth, methodical, cautious, and meticulous about everything, especially when it comes to intimacy. Aries wants to rip the clothes off and dive in. Virgo's still checking to see if the sheets are wrinkle-free and the room smells like lavender. But underneath that polished Virgo exterior, a deeply sensual and surprisingly kinky lover is just waiting to be unlocked. For Aries, sex is about action. They move fast, driven by instinct and adrenaline, often skipping the details in favor of the experience. Virgo is the complete opposite. They live in the details. The subtle glance, the strategic touch, the unspoken tension that builds for hours before anything physical even begins. Virgo doesn't jump into bed, they curate the experience like a 5-course tasting menu. And Aries? At first, they're impatient. But then, intrigued. Because what Virgo lacks in spontaneity, they more than make up for in precision, anticipation, and depth. Once Virgo feels safe and seen, once Aries earns that deep trust, everything changes. Virgo reveals a side that few get to witness, deeply erotic, shockingly uninhibited, and entirely in control. Think sensual dominance wrapped in an analytical mind. They know what they want, how they want it, and when. And Aries, used to calling the shots, suddenly finds themselves turned on by the structure Virgo provides. There's something undeniably hot about a lover who's taken the time to think through every detail, and Virgo has thought it through. The chemistry here isn't obvious, it's slow building and layered, like a tension-filled novel that turns steamy halfway through. Aries learns the art of the tease, of holding back just long enough to make the payoff mind-blowing. Virgo, in turn, gets swept up in Aries' wildness, discovering that breaking the rules can be just as satisfying as following them. The result? A sex life that feels like a beautifully crafted power exchange, equal parts spontaneity and control, chaos and order. But let's be honest, it's not all smooth sailing. Aries can get frustrated with Virgo's need to process, plan, and perfect. Sometimes Virgo overthinks the moment when Aries just wants to feel it. Aries might say, "Let's do it in the kitchen right now," and Virgo's first thought is, "Did we clean the counters?" These differences can kill the mood, if they're not handled with understanding. That's where communication becomes crucial. Aries needs to learn patience and appreciate that Virgo's attention to detail comes from a place of care and intention. Virgo needs to loosen the grip on control and realize that Aries' spontaneity isn't reckless, it's passion in its purest form. When they meet in the middle, something incredible happens. Sex becomes not just physical release, but emotional expansion. Aries grows. Virgo blooms. This dynamic brings out hidden sides in both. Virgo unlocks their inner kink, guided by a desire to please and a surprising hunger for experimentation. Aries, meanwhile, discovers that slowing down can intensify pleasure, like learning to enjoy every beat of a song instead of skipping to the chorus. And yes, there will be checklists color-coded, even, but there will also be handcuffs, whispered commands, and sessions that end in breathless admiration for how perfectly mismatched they really are. Aries and Virgo might not be the most obvious sexual match, but that's exactly what makes them so powerful. When fire meets focus, when impulse dances with intellect, when passion surrenders to precision and vice versa, what you get isn't just sex. It's an education. It's a secret rendezvous that neither of them saw coming and neither of them will ever forget. And once they find that rhythm, straight-up erotica meets emotional growth. It's not just hot, it's transformative. Aries plus Libra. This is a match that plays out like a romance novel meets a steamy action movie. Aries and Libra are zodiac opposites, sitting directly across from each other on the wheel, and that magnetic pull between them. It's as real as it gets. Aries charges forward, wild and instinctive, while Libra floats in with elegance, charm, and the kind of balance that makes everything feel intentional. One is fire, the other air, and when they mix, the result is pure combustion with a touch of class. Aries doesn't do subtle. They want to feel everything now, fast, hard, and with full body contact. Libra, on the other hand, craves aesthetics. They're seduced by ambience, gentle touch, eye contact that lingers just a little longer than it should. They won't rush. They want to be romanced, admired, worshipped. And honestly, that's exactly what Aries secretly needs, a partner who can slow the tempo without killing the vibe. In return, Aries offers Libra something even they didn't know they were craving: intensity, urgency, and the thrill of letting go. In the bedroom, Aries brings heat like a wildfire, unfiltered passion, strong hands, and an almost reckless hunger. Libra meets that with finesse. They elevate sex into something more than just physical, into beauty, connection, and rhythm. Aries might storm and ready to devour, but Libra makes them pause, makes them look, makes them feel. Suddenly, sex isn't just primal, it's art. A carefully choreographed dance of give and take, tease and release, force and grace. But the dynamic isn't without its challenges. Aries is direct to the point of bluntness. They say what they want, when they want it, and how. Libra is diplomatic, but deeply sensitive underneath that smooth surface. If Aries bulldozes without appreciating Libra's need for harmony and validation, things go cold fast. Libra doesn't fight back with fire, they withdraw, they ice over, and they start weighing every moment like it's a courtroom trial. If Aries doesn't offer consistent admiration, Libra's walls go up, and the passion fades behind polite distance. Flattery is not optional here, it's the ignition switch. Libra wants to be told they're sexy, stunning, captivating. They want praise, presence, and a little poetry in between the dirty talk. Aries, who often moves at full speed, has to remember to slow down and actually see their partner, to admire the way Libra's lips part before a kiss, or how their breath changes under a delicate touch. Those moments matter. They're the foreplay that keeps Libra emotionally, and physically, invested. On the flip side, Libra gives Aries something they rarely find elsewhere, a challenge that's wrapped in silk instead of steel. Libra won't just give in, they'll flirt, they'll resist, they'll draw Aries in with charm and playfulness until the ram is practically begging to be let closer. And when Libra finally says yes, it's a surrender that feels earned, intimate, and wildly satisfying. Their sexual chemistry is like a waltz with a heartbeat. Aries leads with passion, Libra follows with grace. But every now and then, Libra takes the lead in their own way, using subtlety, timing, and a well-placed whisper to flip the power dynamic. That push and pull creates an erotic tension that keeps them coming back for more. It's not just about the act, it's about the energy, the anticipation, the balance of dominance and devotion. Together, Aries and Libra turn sex into an experience that's both physical and emotional, raw and refined. They may come from different worlds, Aries the warrior, Libra the lover, but when they find that middle ground, when they respect each other's rhythm and needs, they create something rare, passion with polish. Fire that doesn't burn out, because it's fed by air, not just fuel. It's the kind of match that reminds you sex can be both explosive and elegant. And when Aries learns to admire the art of seduction, and Libra dares to embrace the thrill of surrender, this pairing becomes unforgettable, like a slow kiss that turns into a storm. Aries plus Scorpio. This isn't just sex, it's psychological warfare in silk sheets. Aries and Scorpio don't fall into bed. They lunge, seduce, demand, and dare. The chemistry is primal, magnetic, and just a little bit dangerous. Both signs are ruled by Mars, the planet of war, lust, and raw power, but Scorpio gets a dark little bonus from Pluto, the ruler of secrets, transformation, and the underworld. That means when Aries brings the fire, Scorpio brings the shadows. And together, they don't just burn, they consume. The attraction between Aries and Scorpio is immediate and intense, like two predators who spot each other across the room and instinctively know the other one bites. Eye contact lingers too long. Words get twisted into dares. By the time they touch, the room is already charged with anticipation. For Aries, it's about physical conquest. For Scorpio, it's about emotional dominance. They both want to win, but winning means something very different to each of them. Aries wants to hear the gasp, feel the surrender. Scorpio wants to own your soul while you're gasping. What makes this combo so explosive is that both signs go all in, no hesitation, no fear, no breaks. Aries brings urgency, power, and a need to feel everything in the moment. Scorpio brings mystery, control, and an almost psychic ability to push the exact right buttons. Sex isn't casual here, it's intense, strategic, and hypnotic. Scorpio turns off the lights to heighten the senses. Aries lights the match just to watch it burn. Every encounter feels like a dare. How far will you go? How much will you give? But here's where things get tricky, both Aries and Scorpio have dominance issues. Neither is comfortable surrendering completely, and neither responds well to being outmatched. Aries wants to lead with physical force and heat. Scorpio wants to pull the strings from the shadows, seducing and manipulating the tempo. When they're not aligned, it becomes a standoff. One pushes. The other resists. And the power struggle can flip from erotic to exhausting fast. Still, when the chemistry is good, and it often is, this is the kind of sex that people write about, dream about, obsess over. Aries pushes Scorpio to act on impulse, to break out of their calculated shell. Scorpio teaches Aries that seduction isn't just about speed, it's about depth, control, and psychological edge. Together, they can explore kinks, fantasies, and boundaries most couples never even approach. There's trust here, in a strange, twisted way, because they both know what's at stake. But let's not sugarcoat it, this connection can turn toxic if there's no emotional regulation. Scorpio doesn't just want your body, they want to understand you, sometimes more than you understand yourself. That can be invasive to Aries, who thrives on instinct and doesn't always love introspection. Aries, in return, might push too hard, too fast, not realizing Scorpio isn't just resisting for fun, they're testing. Studying. Waiting to see if Aries can handle the depth of what's underneath the surface. If this pair doesn't develop mutual respect, the bedroom becomes a battleground of ego and psychological warfare. Mind games, jealousy, possessiveness, they're all risks here. Aries hates being controlled. Scorpio hates being predictable. If both try to dominate without compromise, things explode, and not in a sexy way. But if they do trust each other, if they learn to balance fire with focus, passion with presence, that's when the true magic happens. Because at their best, Aries and Scorpio are unstoppable. They bring out each other's animal instincts and deeper emotions. Their sex life becomes a ritual, sacred, dangerous, transformative. It's raw heat meeting soul-level connection. Aries may light the fire, but Scorpio keeps it burning, feeding it with layers of emotional intensity that most people only fantasize about. This isn't a casual hookup. It's a full-body, full-soul experience. Not everyone can handle it, but if they can, it's unforgettable. The kind of passion that scars you, in the best way. Aries plus Sagittarius. This match is pure, unfiltered fire, two adrenaline junkies colliding in the most delightfully reckless way. Aries and Sagittarius aren't just sexually compatible, they're partners in crime when it comes to pleasure. Both are fire signs, both are ruled by impulse, and both have an almost childlike enthusiasm for new experiences. When they get into bed, it's not about romance or deep soul-gazing, it's about laughter, lust, and whatever wild idea just popped into one of their heads. If sex were a road trip, these two would throw away the map, floor it, and see what happens when the tank runs out. From the very first moment, their chemistry is undeniable. Aries is drawn to Sagittarius's fearless energy. There's something about that say yes to anything vibe that lights a fire in Aries' already overheated blood. Sagittarius, meanwhile, can't resist Aries' confidence, raw intensity, and no BS approach. There's no awkward warm-up here, just a spark, a smirk, and maybe a quick check to see if there's a private enough corner to make something happen right now. Aries brings urgency. Sagittarius brings curiosity. Together, they create spontaneous combustion. In the bedroom, nothing is off limits. Sex is an adventure, not a routine. They're the couple who tries positions that don't even have names yet, who leave hickeys shaped like countries, who think, do not disturb, signs are a personal challenge. Quickies in the elevator. Yes. Sex on vacation within an hour of landing. Absolutely. Roleplay, toys, public risks. If it sounds thrilling, they've either done it or are planning to. It's fast, it's fun, and it rarely stays in one place for long. And the best part? Neither of them takes themselves too seriously. Aries might lead with lust and Sagittarius with laughter, but together, they build a sexual connection that feels like freedom. They're not here to be perfect. They're here to feel alive. There's a joy in their intimacy, a willingness to explore without judgment, and a mutual understanding that sometimes the best sex is the kind you didn't plan. But, and there is a but, this isn't always a recipe for long-term emotional connection. Both Aries and Sagittarius struggle with staying still. They crave stimulation, movement, variety. Feelings. That's complicated. Aries feels deeply but doesn't dwell. Sagittarius avoids emotional heaviness like it's a boring party they forgot to RSVP to. So while the sex is explosive, it can sometimes feel like cotton candy, sweet and exciting, but not always satisfying on a deeper level. That's not to say they can't go deeper. It just takes conscious effort. If Aries learns to slow down and ask real questions, and Sagittarius allows vulnerability to be part of the adventure, they can unlock a level of intimacy that transforms their physical connection into something much more enduring. Because underneath the playfulness, there's trust. Neither is judgmental. Neither is clingy. They give each other the freedom to be fully themselves, and that, in its own way, is intimacy. Still, this is a pairing where the primary love language is action. Don't expect candlelight and handwritten notes. Expect surprise kisses, unexpected weekend getaways, and that kind of eye contact that says, "I dare you." Their chemistry thrives when they're in motion, trying new things, pushing limits. They fuel each other's fire without burning each other out, if they remember to occasionally ground the fun with moments of honesty. Aries and Sagittarius aren't built for slow and steady. They're made for the thrill, the chase, the next big thing. But when they find someone who can match their tempo, their passion, their wild energy, they'll come back again and again, not because they have to, but because no one else makes them feel so alive. This is chaos. This is bliss. This is sex with a smile and a story to tell afterward. For pure pleasure, for passion without pressure, for a sexual connection that feels like a roller coaster you want to ride twice, Aries and Sagittarius are a dream team. No breaks. No rules. Just fire. Aries plus Capricorn. This pairing is a lesson in power dynamics, and nobody walks away unchanged. Aries is raw, instinctual, and immediate. They want what they want now, and they don't usually ask twice. Capricorn. Capricorn waits. Watches. Plans. They're the Zodiac's master strategist, the composed authority figure who keeps their cards close and their desires closer. Put them together, and it's like watching a fire try to melt an iceberg, slow, hypnotic, and ultimately, inevitable. Because once that ice breaks, what's underneath is volcanic. On the surface, these two couldn't be more different. Aries storms in with unfiltered passion and the subtlety of a wrecking ball. Capricorn keeps their cool, controlling every step of the interaction with elegance and restraint. Aries sees a challenge. Capricorn sees an opportunity to test just how far someone's willing to go. And that's where the real tension starts. Not in what's said, but in what's held back. Sex between these two doesn't begin in the bedroom, it begins the moment Capricorn raises an eyebrow and Aries takes it as a dare. Capricorn may seem buttoned up, all business and no play, but that's only the public persona. Behind closed doors, they're deeply sensual, and, let's just say it, kinkier than they let on. They don't give in easily, but when they do, it's intense, deliberate, and undeniably powerful. Aries, with all their wild energy and impulsive charm, pokes at that reserve until it cracks. And when Capricorn finally lets go, they don't just fall, they plunge. Controlled chaos. Quiet dominance. Sensual punishment. These are the hallmarks of a bedroom that's as psychological as it is physical. This isn't just sex. This is tension layered on structure, animal desire hidden beneath sophistication. Aries might initiate things, but Capricorn controls the tempo. And that makes it even hotter. It's the kind of dynamic where Aries grabs the tie, but Capricorn already tied the knots. One is heat, the other precision. It's a dom-sub fantasy with constant role reversals, each partner testing the limits of control and surrender in ways they didn't expect to enjoy. But here's the rub, Aries hates waiting. They want fast results, immediate satisfaction. Capricorn, meanwhile, believes anything worth having is worth building toward. That can lead to serious friction. Aries may get bored, thinking Capricorn is too closed off or unresponsive. Capricorn may find Aries exhausting, or worse, immature. If they can't meet in the middle, their dynamic turns into a cold war of unmet needs and power plays. No one wins. However, if they do sync up, if Aries learns the value of pacing, and Capricorn learns to occasionally say yes without a long-term plan, this pairing becomes absolutely magnetic. Capricorn offers Aries a lesson in endurance. In building up desire until it becomes a full-body ache. In taking the long road, and discovering it feels even better when the climax finally hits. Aries reminds Capricorn that control is sexiest when you choose to give it up. That spontaneity can be just as intoxicating as strategy. There's mutual respect here, even when it's not obvious. Aries secretly admires Capricorn's discipline, the way they command a room with silence and subtlety. Capricorn can't help but be impressed by Aries' raw fire, the kind that refuses to dim. They may approach sex from different angles, but that's exactly what keeps it exciting. It's not about harmony. It's about tension. Polarity. Desire that builds and builds until neither one can stand it anymore. In the right hands, this is a slow-burn fantasy that becomes a full-body obsession. Their chemistry is refined, elegant, and absolutely untamed beneath the surface. It's silk rope and whispered rules, lipstick smudged on expensive collars, a balance of control and craving that keeps both partners perpetually on edge, in the best possible way. Aries plus Capricorn isn't about easy chemistry. It's about earned intimacy. And when that payoff comes, it's unforgettable. Because when fire meets steel, it doesn't just spark, it forges something unbreakable. Aries and Aquarius. When Aries and Aquarius collide, it's not just chemistry, it's alchemy. Aries storms in with full-body passion, ready to dominate the moment. Aquarius stands still, curious, detached, but don't be fooled. Behind that cool gaze is a mind racing with fantasies most people wouldn't even say out loud. Aries is driven by the thrill of pursuit, the need to feel alive in every nerve. Aquarius? They're turned on by what's different, what's taboo, what breaks the mold. This isn't a slow-burning candle of romance, it's an unpredictable lightning strike that lights up the whole room. Together, these two don't just connect, they experiment, deconstruct, and rebuild pleasure from scratch. Missionary? Maybe once. Just for laughs. Then it's on to acrobatics, power dynamics, roleplay, and, wait, are we even on the bed anymore, territory. The only limit here is the imagination, and with Aquarius involved, that limit doesn't exist. The dynamic, heat meets cool. Aries is hot, wild, impulsive. They want to throw you against the wall and kiss you breathless before your coat is off. Aquarius is cool, elusive, and somehow always 10 steps ahead, turning their lover into a puzzle worth solving. This combination shouldn't make sense, and that's exactly why it works. Aries is addicted to excitement. Aquarius is excitement, but in disguise. One comes in like a fireball, the other responds with a slow, knowing smirk that says, "You have no idea what you're in for." And they don't. Aquarius transforms the bedroom into a lab of erotic innovation. Toys? Of course. Roleplay? Naturally. Inventing a new safe word halfway through? Absolutely. Aries pushes for intensity. Aquarius pushes for originality. Neither is content with routine, and that's their magic. Aries loves the chase, and Aquarius loves to run, but just far enough to make being caught completely worth it. It's a game, a dance, and a mind-body fusion that's as mentally stimulating as it is physically explosive. No strings, all sparks. Let's get one thing straight, this is not the Notebook and Roses kind of connection. Aquarius isn't texting good morning and planning your shared Spotify playlist. They're texting, "Do you want to try that thing we talked about at 3 a.m., and then disappearing into a cloud of genius for a week." Aries can handle that, as long as they know they're still on the ride. Emotional neediness will send Aquarius running, but raw, real connection? That'll keep them intrigued. Aries isn't always known for patience, but with Aquarius, they learn to play the long game. They figure out how to tease the mind before the body, and that's when things get dangerously good. These two aren't bound by convention, they're driven by sensation, by curiosity, by the thrill of not knowing what comes next. And while the emotional depth might never reach Pisces-level soul-merging, what they lack in mush, they make up for in mind-blowing, soul-shaking experiences. No forever promises. No clingy morning cuddles. Just electric moments that leave both of them grinning and breathless, asking, "So, what's next?" If you're into astrology, psychology, or just want to decode more of this wild cosmic chemistry, make sure to like, subscribe, and dive into our other Zodiac deep dives. And seriously, if you've had a night or a few with an Aries or Aquarius, tell us what went down. We're all ears, and maybe taking notes. Aries and Pisces. This pairing is like a fever dream written in fire and water. Aries bursts into the scene with raw passion, a blazing desire to do, to move, to conquer, to experience it all in real time. Pisces, meanwhile, drifts in like a scented mist, bringing an energy that's tender, intuitive, and entirely otherworldly. On paper, this looks like a cosmic mismatch, one's a fire starter, the other's a dream weaver. But when these two collide, something rare happens. Aries gets pulled into a dimension where time slows down, where touch means more, and where seduction is an art form, not a sprint. Pisces doesn't just want to hook up, they want to merge. And Aries, so used to quick wins, finds themselves entranced by a kind of intimacy they didn't know they craved. This isn't about acrobatics or wild positions, it's about connection that borders on spiritual. With Pisces, sex becomes an ocean, and Aries has no choice but to dive deep. The dynamic, the warrior and the mystic. Imagine Aries as the brave knight, all armor and adrenaline, storming through life with the need to feel alive every second. Now picture Pisces as the ethereal oracle in the forest, soft-spoken, mysterious, and able to read your soul with one glance. In bed, this story comes alive. Aries charges in, bringing heat, strength, and urgency. Pisces doesn't resist, they absorb it, transmute it, and send it back as something more tender, more nuanced, more felt. It's not a clash, it's a dance. Pisces teaches Aries the beauty of slowing down, of breathing between the sparks, of letting emotions stir the physical fire. Meanwhile, Aries draws Pisces out of their fantasy world and into their body, helping them explore pleasure in real time rather than only in imagination. Together, they create a rhythm that's unpredictable but deeply satisfying, like a melody you didn't expect to love but can't stop humming. It's not just lust. It's transformation through touch. Soulful seduction and sacred space. For all the physicality Aries brings, this connection isn't just skin deep. Pisces pulls Aries into emotional territory where vulnerability becomes the biggest turn-on. It's not about tricks or techniques, it's about trust. Aries, usually the dominant force, may find themselves softened by the sheer emotional intensity Pisces brings to bed. They might pause, not out of hesitation, but out of reverence. Pisces, on the other hand, awakens under Aries' gaze. Their submissive energy isn't weakness, it's surrender with intention. But here's the catch, this magic only works if both signs do the inner work. Aries has to slow down enough to listen, to really notice the emotional waves beneath Pisces' touch. Pisces has to stand strong in their boundaries, resisting the urge to dissolve completely into Aries' flame. If they get this balance right, it's not just pleasure, it's healing. It's not just a hookup, it's a spiritual encounter. Aries feels seen in a new way. Pisces feels safe enough to be wild. Together, they don't just make love, they make a moment that echoes long after the sheets have cooled. Curious about how other fire and water signs stir the stars and the sheets? Hit like, subscribe, and explore more of our Zodiac deep dives to discover which signs create magic, or mayhem, between the lines. And if you've ever been caught in the spell of an Aries-Pisces connection, tell us your story in the comments. We're ready for the tea, or should we say, the tidal wave. So, what's the final verdict? With Aries, the key word is intensity. Whether it's fiery compatibility with Leo and Sagittarius, the power struggle with Scorpio, or the emotional maze with Pisces, one thing's guaranteed: Aries never leaves things boring in the bedroom.